let's talk about procrastination. It is one of our generation's biggest struggles, but I don't think it has to be. And in this video, I want to talk about what I do personally to help me procrastinate less, or this might be controversial, but procrastinate productively. So let's get into it. Number one, find out your why. I think this is such a hugely overlooked topic when it comes to procrastination. Because, for example, for me, if I don't understand the reason for something, I can't really fight against it. I really need to know the reason and the cause behind something before I can take action towards it. Because the first thing you need to do is to understand why am I procrastinating. Because when you understand the reason why you're procrastinating, you can actually identify the root of your problem instead of just shaming yourself. Because I think also as a society, we associate procrastination with laziness, even though they're absolutely not the same thing. So basically, procrastination is when you know you have to do something and you really want to do it, but you just can't. You're just too stuck. And sometimes this comes from too much preparation. You're supposed to present a topic, or maybe you have an exam or something like that. Learning languages, this is like some topic that comes up really frequently. You do so much preparation and so much research instead of actually doing stuff. So for example, a good example of this is you read so many tips and tricks and you watch so many videos on how to write instead of actually writing a lot. So the procrastination doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you don't want to put in the work. It just means that the work scares you so much, you rather put another form of work in, which sometimes helps and sometimes does not help your actual goal. So after you identify the root of your problem, maybe the root of your problem is you have too much on your plate and you just can't have one more stress, one more pressure. You can't. If you have it, you will break. Because at the end of the day, remember that your body and your mind wants to help you succeed, right? However, there is a limit to your physical and mental capacities, and if you push yourself to that limit and then beyond, there is a chance that you will break. So naturally, your body and your brain, they want to protect you. So when you see like, oh, I have 5 really high stress things, if I add this one more high stress thing, I will just break. Maybe that's why you are procrastinating, but maybe it's just a way of your body protecting you. Another reason for procrastination could be fear of being judged. We do live in a society that everyone is judging everybody else constantly, and a lot of people feel they're being watched. And this sentiment is a very dangerous alarm for your brain, and instinctively your brain still again wanting to protect you in this loop of not trying actually the thing that you're scared of because you fear being judged, but instead preparing for it more, which is kind of like masking it. It looks like you're trying to do it and it looks like you're just in the process, whereas you're not actually doing it. It's just a mask. Now sometimes there are things you can do for procrastination. When you absolutely need to do the thing that you're procrastinating about, I use this method on myself, which is what people do with kids. Basically, if you want your child to be in bed, you should not ask the child, do you want to sleep or not? But instead you say, would you like to have a story before you sleep, or would you like to have a song before you sleep? So when you give your child the choice between 2 options that they both lead to same destination, the child is less likely to protest. And the same thing about the body. For example, you need to do a writing. So what I do is, would I like to listen to this type of music when I do the writing, or that type of music when I do the writing, right? So I still have a choice, but both choices are leading to the same destination. Another thing that I find really helpful is think with yourself, what can I do right now? Remember that your goal is not to shame yourself. It should never be to shame yourself. Procrastination is not something you can really control. Now put that aside. what can you do? For example, can you, instead of writing the whole writing down, just do the introduction? Can you just come up with 2 arguments for the writing instead of doing the whole thing? You can't do anything. If there's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do, I suggest taking a nap. The minimum you can do is to take a nap and sleep a bit and get some rest. That's still doing something about it. Another thing that I find really helpful for me, can you express yourself creatively, and does that help you? Now this is very personal, but it does help me a lot. So the majority of my songs and my art is made when I am in a low mental state, right? And I think a lot of other creative people also relate to that. Now you might not be someone who creates regularly, but that's fine. When I say creating stuff, it could be just making like an origami bird or doodling something, or it doesn't have to be like making a song or writing a book. It can be like really simple stuff, something that's on your mind. If you can visualize it on paper, even if it's just lines and colors, I think it really helps expressing yourself, and expressing yourself creatively the way that kids in kindergarten do. I think that's very helpful in regulating your emotions. Procrastination leads to shame, shame leads to panic, panic leads to procrastination, procrastination leads to shame, and it keeps going on and on. So that's what you want to avoid. So try to express yourself creatively, try to express your emotions creatively. Let me give you an example. So I bought this notebook, I think for a couple euros, and also a bunch of markers, because like I've said this before, but during my classes sometimes I feel like I'm not concentrated and I need to be creating simultaneously when I am looking at the teacher, because otherwise I would just get so bored. Now this is not necessarily procrastination, but it's in the same direction, right? It's when your brain can't do stuff because you're too stressed, or sometimes because I was very stressed out and I had a lot of things to do and I didn't want to do any of them. I would just procrastinate, right? But in that procrastination, I try to like just draw really simple stuff and color it the way I feel at that moment. Now this is very personal. I have synesthesia, so I see colors, full feelings and everything. This might not be you, but at the end of the day you can still draw, so it doesn't have to be professional drawing, and mine are also not professional drawings, they're just feelings of the moment. Also coloring with material that are soft, I feel like that helps. I'm not sure if it helps you, but I usually don't color with color pencils when I'm stressed, because that's harsh and my brain is in a harsh mode, so it's just making it worse. But I use like acrylic markers or just paint or crayons, like really soft crayons, not the hard ones, the soft crayons, or like chalk, stuff and mediums that are soft. Like I drew this bear when I was really stressed out, and I think I had an exam, which is every day for me basically, but I had like an exam that I didn't know anything about and I was so stressed out. And I had a unicorn, and I drew my unicorn when I was really depressed, and I was not doing anything for 2 days. This is the unicorn. So at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. It's just to put yourself out. And when you start doing stuff, even really small stuff, even when it's like an intentional taking a nap, that still helps, because you get the ball rolling, you get your doing stuff rolling again. Because procrastination can stop you in your course of life, not just like not studying for exam. It can really become this huge mountain that doesn't even let you get out of the bed. So starting small, not shaming yourself, I can't emphasize that enough, but not putting shame on yourself, and accepting it as a struggle, but not necessarily the worst part of your life. It doesn't have to be that. You can still create something beautiful even from your lower points, and there is no shame in taking a break. But then look into what you can do. How much can you do? At the end of the day, there's just so much you can do. and that's enough. Then you're enough. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I love you. Bye bye.